A story that reminds us of the complicated lives of those held captive by Joseph Kony's Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda. Since the conflict ended in 2006, hundreds of former captives have returned to the northern Ugandan town of Gulu, and as they attempt to integrate into the community, many still face rejection and stigma. CGTN's Daniel Arap Moy has more on their story.
The Lord's Resistance Army's two-decade war against northern Uganda left thousands of people disfigured. The maiming was a tactic used by the LRA to instill fear and punish people. Nancy Awuma is one such young woman who was abducted by the rebels and forced into sexual slavery. She says her refusal to heed to the commands of the rebels saw her ears, mouth, nose and lips sliced off. Reconstruction by doctors have not helped much to relieve her of the pains. Nancy recently saw the very person who sliced off her lips, mouth and ears after he returned from the bush. But she says she has forgiven him of all he did to her.
I saw the person who inflicted the pain in me. He came back from the bush and he lives in a village called Palaro. I have forgiven him for all he did to me.
Another victim, Christina Charo, is from Unyama village in Gulu municipality. She lives with permanent scars of war after rebels burnt her with paraffin and left her for dead. For Christina Charo, forgiveness is simply not on her bucket list.
Since they did not care about the atrocities and the lives of others during the war, they should also be put to death if arrested. Nothing short of that.
Peace has now returned to the region, but those who had their lips, ears, noses and limbs sliced off by the rebels face a new hostility from within their communities.
Even when people abuse me, I look at my two children as hope for my future. The fact is that nobody likes me, even my very own people.
Many young men who were forced to commit unspeakable acts while in the bush have now returned and living alongside those they once brutally tormented. Samuel Komakech and Geoffrey Nyeko are ex-LRA rebels who have returned home. They both say they did not intend to kill their victims.
They forced us to go into the villages and loot food. We would go and come back with the loot. They also forced us to kill people.
I may have done many bad things while in the bush unknowingly, but I asked the government and the people I wronged to forgive me so that life can go back to normal.
Uganda's over two-decade war that ended in 2006 saw the LRA mostly depending on child soldiers who were abducted, indoctrinated and forced to commit horrific murders. An estimated 30,000 children were taken from their homes, forced to live in the wilderness and fight. Daniel Arap Moy, CGTN, Gulu, Northern Uganda.